Hey everyone, it's Bass Junkie transmitting from Hamburg, Germany, back with a new video. And well, did I mention I want to start to dig deep into my archives, not only in terms of vinyl, but also in terms of deep formats? We're starting today, I guess, with a thing that was released back in 2014 and was given to me as a promo when I was still working at the record store, because the owner of the label, the Flexi Disco label, came by and we had a talk, and he gave me this one. Quite an unusual thing, square format, with a little bit of information here. And this is a flexi disc, actually. Something you might not see a lot, even though a few labels have started to put out flexi discs again, which I find weird but also interesting. So we got this sweet floppy little thing here, which is a one-track 7-inch square thing by Boas, which is called White Block. And well, yeah, flexi discs, they are or have been common. I remember them from my childhood, actually, when they were put like in magazines and like things with melodies for advertising and stuff, probably even before I was born. But I think I had a few as a child with like ads for washing detergents or something like that. So this is where the flexi-disc format resonates with me in my earliest memories. And this one, well, released in 2014, with a lot of text on there, on a Switzerland-based label. And there is an actual story behind this one, which makes it even more interesting, because the track in itself goes back way farther. Because, well, I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a website and a musical movement that was called micromusic, which was people doing like 8-bit music on SID chips, SID chips, which were usually used in like Game Boys and stuff. And they started to program music on Game Boys, very bleepy music, very high frequency, simple, happy music. And this one style became very popular on the internet for a while in the 2000s, in the year 2000 especially, and also with the C64 games and stuff, and that kind of resonated as well, because the SID chips were used in C64s as well. So they were the chips that provided like the music and the soundtrack for early computer games and stuff. So the gaming scene, of course, picked up on this style. And there was a website that was called micromusic.net at the time, and they uploaded the tracks, a lot of micromusic tracks, on the internet in like an MP3 format, not that high res, because well, the internet at the time, you know the score if you remember, mostly was dial up and stuff, and the data rates were like pretty low, and therefore the quality of the music was, in terms of resolution and in terms of depth, was pretty low. But the popularity of micromusic.net as a website resulted in a CD release, which I also own. That's somewhere in my archives, and I might like pull it up at some point. I don't know where it is exactly right now. And there was a CD release with music from the website, and the CD release was called Micro Superstars 2000, I guess. Yep, I'm right, because it's read this text stated here. And yeah, originally this track here was meant to be on the CD release, which didn't work out, and a lot of people were like thinking that was a mistake to not include this one. And over the years, it had a kind of cult following, and this was the reason why someone in Switzerland decided to put it out 14 years later as a flexi disc format. The label is Flexi Disco is out of Winterthur in Switzerland. Let's have a look at this again. Beautiful stuff. The white block thing, and what this is basically a very stripped down 8-beat micromusic take on what might be called minimal wave. There is basically one very hypnotic loop, a bleep loop, that is running all the way through, super hypnotic, very ingenious dilettante style, so very Berlin in the late 70s, early 80s. Very interesting and hypnotic, and there is a very high-pitched vocal that is always repeating, which always says white block in a weird manner, so that you don't understand it exactly, but it's like you have this vocal that is like looping around in your brain for like, I don't know, 2.5 or 3 minutes, because the track on there isn't longer. So it's an interesting find and an interesting well, it's not really a vinyl talk, I guess, but Boas on the Flexi Disco label is an interesting find from the archives. One of those weirder things I own. Well, I own many, and it's not exactly a non-vinyl format for a start, but it's not exactly a vinyl format either, because Flexi Disc is a different thing. The different medium sounds different, so I thought I could pull this up and talk about that. Probably there is still a BANDCAMP site for Flexi Disco. I haven't checked out that, but well, BANDCAMP is there, and those like contact info you can also find on Discogs, I guess. So I don't know how many they made, probably 200 or 300, probably 500, because a while ago I had the idea of doing a Flexi Disc release as well, which is still not totally out of my head, but not feasible at the moment. And they told me, I talked with someone who was able to get me, or would have been able to get me to a Flexi Disc manufacturer, that they would make at least 1,000, and it was super expensive in comparison to what a vinyl would cost. So I'm still on the edge of doing that or not, but as this would be a musically very weird release as well, which won't sell 1,000 copies. I probably might do something different with that track maybe, but that's another story for another day. Bass Junkie out. I hope you enjoyed. If you have Flexi Discs in your collection, let me know. If you know about this one, let me know as well. And otherwise, I'm going to see you in the next one. Going to go over to editing mode. Bass Junkie out.